Clinton Jaws, please subscribe. It's the only thing I care about. Today, question period. A powerful moment. You got to watch what Poilievre says, and then you got to watch what the response is. Something bad happened to a Toronto police officer.
But I'm even more concerned that he does understand and the charter rights of Canadians are not important to him.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It should be no surprise that Liberals believe that white-collar criminals can hand over $400 million to their own companies, because we see the case of the dirtbag Tibor Organo, who shot a police officer in the stomach yesterday while he was out on bail after having been arrested for 24 offenses he committed while he was out on probation. So let's get this straight. He's out on probation for many crimes. He gets arrested for violating probation, so he gets released on bail and shoots a police officer. When will this government finally accept that their hug-a-thug, catch-and-release system is putting our people at risk?
It's coming.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our hearts go out to the police officer.
Sure they do.
No police officer should be hurt in the line
of course not.
Duty. But, Mr. Speaker, what is extremely concerning is what the Leader of the Opposition is doing in this House today, where he is trampling the charter rights of Canadians. Whether it is in this House, whether it is outside, Canadians need to be extremely alarmed about the fact that when it comes to their rights, his first instinct is to trample over them.
He's the only one talking about this, guys. He's a powerful voice.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I think you have a charter right to get released after 24 offenses while you're already on probation and shoot a police officer in the stomach. I'm more worried about the charter rights of the police officer who's recovering from the gunshot. Here's what the police officer said. This is what the police officer said. Almost everyone we arrest is out on bail. No one stays in jail where they belong. The city and the feds just don't care. It just doesn't bother them. It doesn't matter how many die and if a cop gets shot. That's right. What's wrong with you people?
That's what I'm talking about. You got to hear her response. But before, I just want to say something quickly. It just gets me going because I've been saying this for 4 years. No one's going to listen to me, but they'll listen to him. I was a police officer. The most important part of my life was being a police officer. Nobody is held for court. Do you guys even know what that means? We arrest a guy. We bring him back. He's on probation. He's on a conditional sentence. He's on conditions. We hold them for court. We spend a lot of time and work holding them for court, only to have Crown Counsel, a JP, a judge, release them the next day. It's a waste of time for police to even try to hold somebody for court. You might as well just release them on the road or back at the detachment. The court doesn't do anything. I have been involved with over 3,000 investigations when it comes to domestic abuse. Guys doing bad things to their spouses. Doesn't matter how many black eyes they give them. Doesn't matter if they break a nose. Not one has been held for court.
I'd like to remind the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, as well as all members of Parliament, that all questions and answers should be directed through the Chair. The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, when the...
That's her response, guys. No response. Let's listen to what this dipstick has to say quickly.
In terms of decisions that are made about bail, these are important considerations.
Not us.
Considerations where we've made amendments to the bail regime. What happens after amendments are made at the federal parliament?
Well, they listen to you.
The ball turns over to the provinces.
Pete,
you
you
need
told
to
them.
ask genuine questions about who's making decisions about granting or denying bail.
You are.
Provincially appointed JPs. About provincial crowns who are making decisions about whether to review bail and what kind of conditions to impose. Those are questions that need to be asked because we need...
What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with the Liberals? It's been like this forever. No police officer likes the Liberal government. They did this. A wise man once said this, and when you hear it, they're talking about all races. Bill Blair announced the release of hundreds of inmates. We are making efforts to reduce systemic racism in the justice system. These include culturally appropriate approaches to indigenous corrections and funding to support the reintegration of previously incarcerated indigenous peoples. The Parole Board of Canada continued to process eligible inmates for release In accordance with the law and the public safety being the paramount consideration. Right. These guys are being told by the government officials and experts to release people from jail, from prison. Dr. Ivan Zinger, Crackerjack, Canada's chief correctional officer, calls upon the federal and provincial government to commit to reducing the overall number of indigenous peoples in custody at least 5% by 2022. It's no wonder he was out of jail. They don't want them in jail.
What's that?